about anything about a prokaryotic cell? It has no nucleus.
Well, like all the DNA and the ribosomes like float around.
Okay, the DNA and the ribosomes. Who could tell me where the DNA is?
It's right in the center.
In the center. So go ahead and label this part as DNA. And you also mentioned what?
It floats around.
What?
The ribosomes.
Where are they?
They're around
Where?
DNA.
In the side.
In this picture.
Oh, like the little dot.
The little dots. Ribosomes. Label that. What else floats around? Good. So this empty space here, label it cytoplasm. What's the one part that's missing that we discussed yesterday?
Cell wall.
No?
Cell membrane.
Cell membrane. Good. Not all cells have cell walls, okay? Especially not an animal cell. And some bacteria actually do. But we're going to label the three main parts that all eukaryotic cells have. This one in particular has a cell wall, but not all do, okay? So we're labeling the parts that all do. When we discuss bacteria, we're going to discuss specific parts of bacteria. All right. Now we're going to focus the rest on eukaryotic cell parts. For each part of the cell, what do we call a part of the cell, by the way? Cell parts. Raise your hand.
Organelle.
Organelles. So for each organelle, we're going to describe what it looks like. We're going to describe its function or where it is in the cell. Okay? So who could tell me what this organelle is? This picture I'm showing you here. The nucleolus is right here. And what else do you see here? What surrounds the nucleolus? The nucleus. Good. Who could tell me what the function of the nucleus is?
To hold the DNA.
Good. It has DNA. What else does it have? What are these things around here? Do you see them? What's always linked with DNA?
RNA.
RNA, it can be, because DNA makes RNA.
ATP.
Sure.
Doesn't the DNA control traits and stuff?
Controls traits. Nucleic acid makes it up. Well, I could tell you that it actually makes them, but no, it's chromosomes. You kind of can see them there. What's this right here? What does it look like? If this is your nucleus, what is this thing here?
The membrane.
Good. It's a nuclear membrane. So a nucleus has DNA, has chromosome, and has its own membrane. All right, what's the function of a nucleus? You told me what a nucleus has, but you haven't really told me what its function is.
It controls the cell.
Controls the cell. We call it the brain of the cell, just like you are, you have a brain and it controls everything you do. The nucleus controls everything. You're going to make models. I want you to know specific things of what the nucleus looks like. I want you to know that it's dark and it's large, okay? It is the largest organelle. It's also like kind of like a round shape. So if you want to add that for your model guide, okay? It's going to be responsible for all cell functions, but we're going to talk a lot about protein production because that's a very, very important unit in bio. Anybody know what the nucleolus? Look at the nucleolus here compared to the nucleus. What can you tell me about its appearance in comparison to the nucleus?
It's darker.
Darker. It's actually darker. Good. And anybody know what the function of the nucleolus is? What does it do for the cell? It makes something.
Chromosomes?
No, good.
Ribosomes?
Yes, it makes ribosomes. Good job. All right, so just a recap. Nucleus has DNA, chromosomes, its own membrane. The membrane is called the nuclear membrane. It basically surrounds the nucleus. And you have to know all those parts, what they look like, and their function. Okay? Next, organelle. So we're going to number this 4, right where I'm 4. And this 5. Anybody know what this is?
The endoplasmic reticulum.
Wow, good. Endoplasmic reticulum or the ER? Smooth is one, and the rough is the other. Who could tell me what the difference is? Okay, that didn't work. Who could tell me what the difference is? In their appearance. Look at the picture. Here's my ER, and I'm going to point to the rough, which is right here, and here's the smooth. And I'll give you a hint. Rough, the R is a significant play in why it's called the rough ER. Look at the picture. Can anybody see what the rough ER has that the smooth doesn't? Good. The rough ER is made up of ribosomes, and that's where the R name comes from. Rough ER, R for ribosomes. It modifies proteins, and the smooth ER actually deals with lipids, but what do they both do? What's their function? What does it look like they're going to do? When you see their shape, what does it look like they are? What does their shape look like? They transport stuff around the cell. They're like tubes, and they transport stuff throughout the cell. I'm pointing at those little red dots. Ribosomes. Where did we already see ribosomes? In the endoplasmic reticulum. They're not just on the endoplasmic reticulum, they're also floating around the cell. Okay? The ribosomes are on the endoplasmic reticulum and floating around the cell. They look like dots, as we mentioned. Anybody know what their function is? What do ribosomes make?
They're proteins.
Good job, proteins. All right, so this next organelle, which is number what, 7? Is sometimes referenced as complex, apparatus, or body.
Golgi.
Golgi or Golgi. Complex, Golgi apparatus, Golgi bodies. They also kind of look, it looks like the ER, right? They kind of look alike. So how are you going to be able to tell the difference between the ER and the Golgi? Nope.
The ribosomes.
Ribosomes on the rough, and they're attached to the smooth, so you can kind of tell which is which that way, okay? Because if not, they're both kind of surrounding the nucleus, even though the Golgi is further out. You'll see when I show you the whole picture of the cell. What is the function of the Golgi? What does it look like? Let's go with that first.
Is it the digestive system of the cell?
That's a good way to kind of say it. It is kind of like the digestive system. It actually stores, packages, and modifies chemicals in the cell. So it's kind of like your digestive system in your body. And they look like stacks of sacks. You see the little sack part right here? That's where the storage function comes in. So it kind of takes things in, stores them, modifies them, and then lets them ship back out. And who's going to move them? The ER. Good. All right, the mitochondria. In the video, they called it the mitochondria. Why?
Because it powers the cell.
Because it is the powerhouse of the cell. Exactly. What does that mean? It powers the cell. What does the mitochondria make? Energy. It makes energy. Anybody know what this energy is called? What's the energy of the cell called? You already actually said it in class today. What's energy for you? What's your energy? Lipids and carbohydrates. What's cell's energy? They actually use carbohydrates to make it. A cell takes in a carb, which is glucose, and it turns it into
Cytoplasm?
no, but the cytoplasm does it too.
Sugar.
It uses sugar to make no, no. Glucose is sugar. ATP. Do you remember that? No. That's okay, because you don't have to know that yet. All right. This energy is used for all cell processes. And the process of making the energy is called cellular respiration. What does the mitochondria have? By the way, doesn't it look like a football, kind of? You see kind of like the strings of the, it looks like a bean too. I guess we could write bean. What does the mitochondria have? Look. Two membranes. It actually is bordered by two membranes. And it also makes its own DNA. So on that note, what do you think the mitochondria could do because it has its own DNA? Good. It reproduces, which is great for the cell because then there's going to be more mitochondria, means more what? Energy, which means more cell function, which means more cell division and more energy and more.